Need it all.
So I gotta hold this.
Yeah.
Hello. Oh, it's kind of
It
cool.
works, just like home.
I don't need a microphone.
I'm in Chicago.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Phyllis.
My name is Phyllis Frey-Charette, for those who don't know me, and I'm sorry for the ones that do know me. I have the distinct honor in introducing your speaker for today, and he's my dad. I'm just kidding, I wanted to get your attention. Anyway, Dr. Noel Lloyd, I have known for 7 years through the Parker seminars, but also he owns and is president of 5-Star Management and New Patient Academy, and he has seminars 7-8 times a year, and I teach his chiropractic assistants that are clients of 5-Star Management, and I've had the pleasure of doing that for the last 7 years. And I'm very picky about the chiropractors that I associate myself with, but Dr. Lloyd has been a mentor, someone who I admire very much in this profession, because he's very ethically and morally sound, and he really is of a higher purpose to help chiropractors and you students be in a great place when you graduate. I've sat through his lectures for associateships and how to create the practice of your dreams. And I really hope you get a lot out of this, because some of you may just be starting here, some of you may be about to graduate, but it's never, ever too late to have your eye on the prize and start creating that practice of your dreams. So I would love for you guys to do a big Parker welcome to Dr. Noel Lloyd.
Thank you. By the way, I'm very picky too, and I have had the opportunity to work with several CA trainers, and when Phyllis came to work here at Parker in recruitment, the first question that I had is, are you still going to be with us? And she said yes, and I'm about as happy as I know how to be. We do evaluations after every one of our seminars, and just off the charts, Phyllis is the highest rated speaker of any of us, Dr. George, myself, and Leah, and Phyllis. And I appreciate her, and I love her a bunch. So, okay. So I'm just kind of curious, as far as the group is concerned, how many of you will be graduating within the next year and be out in practice within the next year? Great. No, nobody. Just two? Excuse me. Right here. Okay, I didn't see you guys. You're on my peripheral.
2.5, technically.
Okay. So, and how many of you have just started within the last year? Okay. So that's most of you, okay, and then everybody else is someplace in between. I'm curious, how many of you have a pretty good picture of what you want to do when you graduate? In other words, you're going to set up right out of school, you're going to associate, you're going to go back home and live in your parents' basement and do another 40 hours of World of Warcraft a week or whatever, okay? So how many of you have a pretty good idea of what you want to be doing? Okay, great. Now, I want to do a little exercise here. Died and gone to heaven. You've heard that phrase, right? Died and gone to heaven. What does your practice look like eventually? Not straight out of school, because you'll be building, but what does your practice look like? The perfect practice as far as you're concerned, and it can be wildly different for one person than it is another, but if you would give me some ideas of what you're thinking about. Athletes. So you want to have a practice of athletes, okay? You know, every time I do this, I think, how come I'm going to reveal to them my inability to spell? But that's okay. So yes.
I want to figure out how to bring chiropractic to the disadvantaged population basically the people at the bottom of the poverty level.
You know, I have a good friend, his name is Mark Silverman, and he practices in Miami. He has a super wonderful, great practice. And then one day a week, he goes down to this practice where he donates his time. And he figured it out that it costs him someplace in the neighborhood of $16,000, $18,000 a month in order to do that. Not because of what he could be making in his clinic to do that. And he says some people have their boat, some people have their golf course, you know, and some people have this. This is what I want to do with my heart, and I serve the poor, right? So if I put disadvantage, can I write poor because that's only got 4 letters and it would be easier for me? Okay. So what do you want the practice to look like? This is who we're serving. This is really good stuff. But what do you want the practice to look like? How many people do you want to see in a day? I'm going to ask you questions like, what type of team would you have? Have you visualized that in your mind? Anybody? Yes.
I'm gonna actually start off small, so
No. You can start out small, but what do you want to grow to? Give me your grow-to dreams.
go-to dreams would be doing midwife and chiropractic in the same clinic. So I typically want to see at least 25 to 30 patients per day.
Okay. So 30 a day times 5 is 150 patient visits a week? Now, I'm just curious. Anybody want to see more than that? You come from, how many, doctor?
2,000 a month.
2,000 a month, so that's 500 a week, right? So, 500K, it's a different story there. Okay. And what else? Any other numbers? So we pretty much, does anybody want to see less than 150? A week? You could if you wanted. Now I want to ask you a question. How much money? You're spending between $200,000 and $250,000 for your undergrad and your graduate education. How much money would you like to be able to make and actually take home in order to get out of debt, in order to live well, put your kids in private school if you choose to do that, have nice vacations, and be able to save for retirement? Has anybody figured that out yet?
200 plus.
200K plus, okay? By the way, I've had 2 associates that made over $200,000 a year working with me. So, anybody else want to give me another number? This is your chance. You get to dial it up. Yes? 80 to 100? Okay. Okay. And what else? I mean, have you thought about what? I mean, I ask my clients to give me a 5 senses picture of the practice of their dreams, and then we supplement that along with goals. But anything else you think about what you would like to do? Yes.
I would like to have a complete wellness center that included chiropractic, acupuncture, therapies, whether it be physical therapy, occupational therapy, massage, nutrition, basically a total health and wellness facility.
Great, multidiscipline, right? Right, everybody under the same roof, and big outreach into the community, and the physical therapist would refer to the chiropractors, and the nutritionists and the chiropractors would refer to the acupuncturists, and everybody's getting everybody well.
Well, I'm also a dietitian, so.
You're a dietitian as well. That's great. That's great. That's great. Okay, anything else? Yes?
Travel to different practices, so not just kind of stuck in one all the time, and you just go around to different practices.
So you might want to do that month in Brazil where you take care of people, okay? Okay, great. I never thought of that. I honestly haven't. Travel.
Mobile chiropractic.
Practice.
International.
Okay? You guys are doing great. This is much, much better than the other group. Does anybody else have anything else that you think of? By the way, you can put your vision together. You can put your vision together. I hope that that's part of what we'll do today. Yes?
I actually just recently been toying with the idea of starting a practice in the Caribbean islands for which my family is from, trying to reconnect those groups.
Practicing where mom and dad are.
So not where mom and dad, this would have been my grandparents.
Your grandparents, okay, okay. By the way, if you know how to produce new patients, and if you know how to get the chiropractic message into the community, you can go anywhere in the world where there are people, and you can build a great practice. So I might put that under travel practice. I hope that that's okay. So let me give you just a snapshot of my story. I was 5 years old, and I was hanging on the monkey bars, and for whatever reason I let go and I went straight down on top of my head, and I knocked myself out. My dad thought I was dead, and I woke up screaming. They took me to the hospital. They said I had a concussion, but I should be fine. Everything will be okay. And this was in the early 50s, I think 1954. And I got sick, and for an entire year I stayed sick. And in the family album, there's all these pictures of me lying on a blanket on the carpet in the living room sick, at a party, lying on the couch on a blanket sick. I was just sick all the time. Finally, a woman who was a chiropractic patient, now chiropractors weren't licensed in Washington State at that time, said to my mom, you have to take Noel to a chiropractor. Didn't know what chiropractic was. So my grandmother and my mom walked me up steep stairs. I remember they were so steep, I went back 30 years later and they were little teeny stairs. And my grandmother, evangelical Christian, saw a spine, a section of a spine, and she said to my mom, she didn't know what chiropractic was, she said, Corrine, this is voodoo. And but she looked at all the people in this packed reception area, and she watched everything, and she said, but if it helps Noel, we'll stay. So I got my first chiropractic adjustment. It was a life changer. At age 11, I decided, with my dad's help, to become a chiropractor because of my story and what we witnessed in chiropractic over that time. And I was practicing chiropractic in Washington State when I was 22 years old. I was enrolled at Palmer College when I was 18. And what I've been doing since then, I've had over 70 plus associates. 10 associates have purchased practices from me. I developed them in those practices. They bought the practices. They've got great lives. And I know that for many of you, the dreams that you have, whether it's athlete or serving the poor or seeing 500 visits a week or making 200,000 plus or doing travel practice or being in a multidisciplinary practice, your connection with where you are right now and what you dream of, for many of you, is going to be an associateship. Now, in many fields of study, I was having dinner with my son, who just happened to be in town last night, and he's thinking about going to a postgraduate program. I tell young chiropractors to think about associateships as not a job, but a postgraduate opportunity. But you can't just pick any associateship. You've really got to pick the right one. Now, just out of curiosity, how many of you plan to associate at some point in time? Okay? Now, I want you to raise your hand if there's a positive spin or a positive buzz on associateships in general. Would you raise your hand if it's positive? Look at that. There's not one freaking hand. And let me ask you and see if I have it right, is that associateships are just kind of a necessary evil, right? You want to earn as much as you possibly can and see if you can endure it, and then get the heck out and do your own thing, right? So I'm getting some big nods. So what I want to do with you today, and the title of the talk that I'm giving is 7 Must-Haves for Great Associateship. But I think it's important to start off with, and I want to take you through part of a presentation I call From Grad to Great. And everybody, are the monitors all working? I'm supposed to ask that they're working, okay? Okay. So, by the way, this is me at Palmer College. It's not the first selfie. And I didn't know you were supposed to look in the camera when it was a selfie. So that was taken in 1968. And I think I was 19 years old. April, yeah, I was 19 years old. I started Sound Chiropractic Centers, built 10 of those clinics in Washington State. I got injured many, many years ago, couldn't practice anymore. So I had to develop associates, develop marketing, and develop the business. So let me ask you this. You're taking a look, and some of you are graduating shortly, and some of you will be graduating in 1 or 2 or 3 years. What's the most challenging part about going from just graduating to having the absolutely great practice that you want?
Mindset.
What's that?
Mindset.
Mindset. That's right. I think you're right. It's the confidence that you can do it, the self-confidence, the chiropractic confidence. That's one part. What would be another part? Finances. Right. I was telling somebody the other day, my office, my first office that I had, where I opened, was 511 square feet and cost $225 a month. I don't think you can get internet service for $225 a month right now. Okay, things change. But my office call was $7. So that was a little different as well, too. So what else some of the challenges to going from grad to great?
Resources.
I'm sorry, say again? Resources. Yeah, that might be the money thing, right? Okay. Not knowing what to do. Has anybody here owned a business? Not worked for a business, but owned your own business? So a chiropractic practice is your own business that dispenses chiropractic. And if the business thrives, chiropractic is like great wine, and the great business is like great stemware. But without the wine glass, it's just a stain on the tablecloth. And you can be super enthusiastic, and you can want to help the world, and want to serve the poor, and want to get to athletes, and want to see 500 visits a week, and want to take $200K a year home, which is $16,666 a month. You take that home, that's your taxable income. You want to do all that, but where in the world do I start? So I want to share with you what I think great is. This is what great is. Now, my perspective of coaching people for over 30 years and being a chiropractor, I'm 68 and I was a chiropractor when I was 22, so that's 44 years. And I spoke on the Parker program for years and years, and I've met some wonderfully successful people. So number one is to help a lot of people. To help as many people as your technique allows in your heart's desires. The happiest day in a chiropractic office is when the chiropractor, he or she, is nose to tail in patients all day. And at the end of the day, you think, whoa, that just blew by. That didn't feel very busy. And the front desk hands you your statistics, and you think, holy cow, look how many people we served today. The chiropractor that's moving from patient to patient to patient with strong philosophy, excellent technique, doing wonderful work, in great relationships with her people, that man, that woman is great. Number two, have a lot of fun. Practice with procedures you and your staff and your patients love. By the way, what's the disturbing thing about this picture for me is, what are those kids doing drinking coffee? That's what I want to know.
Hot cocoa.
Oh, maybe.
I've seen marshmallows.
Oh, there might be a marshmallow in one. So now, there are some people that think that hard work and fun are mutually exclusive. But some of the best fun I've ever had in my life have been patient appreciation days, when we're serving tons of people, or we've got a busy clinic and I'm working shoulder to shoulder with my associates. And so I want to not only help tons of people, but I want to have a ton of fun. And you can use procedures that are fun. By the way, ask your parents or somebody who might advise you. It is no small thing to have a career and a calling that you can love and have fun with your entire life. It is no small thing. Then, number three is make lots of money. You are in lots of debt. I hate to break it to you. To get out of lots of debt, you need what? Lots of money, right. And by the way, I mean in a very ethical and honest business model. I mean rendering absolutely top quality care and not doing it at gougy prices and not billing for one more or recommending any more service than the patient needs, but at the same time not recommending any less care than the patient needs. In order to be able to serve people, you need to have a good business model as well, because the bakery, the dry cleaner, the little bookstore that doesn't have a good business model just isn't there the next year. Also, a good business model where you're real profitable, that attracts the best and brightest. I think one motivation for going into chiropractic is so that you can make a difference in people's lives is super great. But I think also being able to make a great living is super great as well, and be able to have fun in the process. Now, I want to give you some examples of people who I think have great practices and people who have great lives, and you can tell me what you think. This is Dr. Carrie Kleinfelter. Now, Carrie is a wife, she's a mother, and she's a chiropractor. I have coached her actually through 5 maternity leaves. And she has an absolutely wonderful husband who's a stay-at-home dad and takes care of the kids, and they do homeschooling. But she's got a large, busy practice with a 3 to 12 week waiting list. Think of that, a 12-week waiting list. I asked her one time, I asked Carrie, if somebody gets a migraine and they get one every 3 to 4 weeks, and they've been referred to you, she says, well, we endeavor to get our emergency cases in a little bit sooner, but we've had people wait for us for 2 or 3 migraine cycles and actually end up in the office. And I'll tell you something, it's her mindset, it's her dedication to her technique, but she also has a very, very strong family life. She takes 12 weeks off a year. She's a very, very involved mother. And she also is a wonderful person to be developed as, to be developed in her associate program. This is Dr. Stan Dombrowski. Stan has a capacity practice, multiple associates, great DC and CA trainer, successful husband, father in DC, and gets 4 to 6 weeks off a year. Now he loves NASCAR. He and Rachel and the girls, they just hop in the motorhome and they drive to NASCAR, and while his associates cover the practice. Now when the associates go deer hunting, he covers their practice. And so they've got these wonderful practice, they serve tons of people, Stan's almost at capacity. He just set one of his associates up in a practice after he trained her, and now she has the opportunity to buy that practice, and she's jumping on it and she's moving forward. This is another woman that I coach. She's just going out on maternity leave in a week, and her 2 associates are handling the practice, and they're growing and successful. Capacity, multiple associates, great DC trainer. She's 100% debt-free. Now, Jamie is mid-30s. She didn't have anybody help her through school. She's just a smart business person, works with a super low overhead, really, really great chiropractor, great developer of associates, successful DC wife and mother. So, I'm going to give you what I think are the 7 most important keys in order to be great like that. I mean, did you hear or see anything about any 3 of those doctors that you would like to have that be for you? Would you raise your hand if you saw one attribute for them? Okay, great. So, number 1, a strong chiropractic philosophy. Carrie Kleinfelter, who is one of the people that I showed you, Jamie Kramer, and Stan Dombrowski all have personal chiropractic stories. I have a personal chiropractic story. I had to actually get to Palmer College and hear Reggie Gold speak before somebody told me the philosophy that made sense for my personal experience. One of the things I would do with my associates when they'd come out of school, depending on the school, sometimes their confidence would be strong, sometimes their philosophy would be strong, but we made are part of our associateship study of chiropractic philosophy. The stronger the philosophy, the easier it is for you to understand why somebody should be under chiropractic care and to propel you into the community, to reach the community, and also to tell people who start chiropractic care why they need to stay under chiropractic care. If you were to ask me what to do, I would say read Rob Sinnott's book, which is the textbook on chiropractic philosophy, or Heidi Havig's book, which is another great book on chiropractic philosophy. I'm still reading every book on chiropractic philosophy I can get a hold of. I think it's incumbent on me to do that as a teacher, but I think it's important. Number 2 is become a master adjuster. I hired a young man straight out of school. His older brother taught at the school, and he was the best adjuster that I had met coming out of school. He used to run bootleg courses on technique, and there'd be 25 men and women in the basement of their fraternity, and he was doing these courses. And I said, so what was the deal? He says, well, we played basketball, we played football, we played baseball. My brother got a hold of me and slapped me silly one night because my technique wasn't the way it should be. And so I made a commitment to be the best technician I possibly could. There were field doctors that would come in and watch this young man adjust and ask for adjusting tips. Any one of you, if you decided you could be that good at adjusting before you graduate. And I'll tell you, there's something that's absolutely wonderful, when the confidence that you know what you're supposed to know. And whether it's an upper cervical nuca or adjustment, or a Gonstead seated chair, or being able to do drop or instrument adjusting, so that you are the absolute master. When you walk into the adjustment room, and you might be diminutive stature, but you don't care, and the guy that you're going to adjust is 333 pounds and 6'8", and you know how to handle that. Or, on the other side, if you don't think you can handle that type of patient, it's not a comfortable situation. So become a master adjuster. Number 3, learn chiropractic marketing. One of the things that I promise my associates, I'll teach them how to produce new patients. I've been coaching people for over 30 years in chiropractic. 19 to 1, 97.5% of the time, people have called me for help. It's because they don't have enough new patients. It's the number one reason that chiropractors fail in practice. It's the number one reason that associateships fail, because the associate doesn't know how to produce new patients, and they end up costing the clinic more than they produce for the clinic. But I have also heard this, is that I've seen these ads. Come and work with me, you won't have to do any external marketing. And I thought, that's like somebody being a personal trainer and say, come train with me and we'll get you your 6-pack abs and you won't have to do one sit-up. I'll do all the sit-ups for you. It doesn't work that way. Remember, don't think of an associateship as a job. Think of it as a postgraduate degree where they pay you $60,000, $80,000, $100,000. Teach chiropractic. I teach a group of associates for my clinic directors that are clients. And every single thing I teach the associate, I ask the clinic director for an opportunity for the associate to teach the staff. Philosophy, vision, goals. All the books that we read. Teach the staff. So I want you to become a chiropractic teacher. When you articulate your chiropractic principles and you illustrate them with chiropractic testimonies, one of the things that will happen is that the crowd that's listening to you will resonate with you, and what you say will become attractive. And they will relate that to their friends, and that's the basis of referrals, and that's the basis of people coming to see you. So learn to teach chiropractic. Number 5. Learn to love the business. Now, I got damaged, I got injured, I couldn't practice anymore. I was absolutely horrified. The only thing I ever wanted to do in my life was be a chiropractor from age 11. and I couldn't practice. A neurosurgeon and my 2 chiropractors who work for me, but they're also great chiropractors, said, no, you can't practice right now, at least not now, not for a couple of years. Surgeon wanted to do a bi-level fusion on my neck. And so I backed out and I started to study the business. I was making so much money and we were seeing so many people. Thank you so much, I appreciate it. But I had my eye off the ball and I started to look at the business. And what happened was that I worked on marketing, I worked on the business, and I worked on associate development. If you can love the business that contains your practice, you'll run it with super, super low stress. Learn to lead. You know how you lead? You say, hey, I want to get together and I want to listen to some philosophy stuff and discuss it. Or I've got this great philosophy webinar. What I'd like to do is get 2 or 3 people just together and discuss it and talk about it. It started out as a philosophy club. There were a couple of guys that I went to school with, Jerry Klum and Guy Riekman, and they said, hey, let's go down to DE from Palmer. And I was riding down with who would later be the president of Life Marietta and later the president of Life San Leandro, Jerry and Guy. And those guys were willing to take leadership. And so if you take leadership, people will follow. Well, who am I to lead? If you have chiropractic principle, if you can teach and preach chiropractic philosophy, people will follow you. And then number 7, don't go it alone. It's so much more fun. It's so much more fun to take a bunch of people with you. I do this at 5-star. By the way, I'm not pitching my program because we have a strong policy about not signing students. We don't sign students. But it's fun to be in a group of people like our Galaxy group that Ricky's in, and it's fun to see CAs learn with Phyllis. And I get Phyllis to speak to my doctors at least for an hour once a year, and she tells them the way it really is, and to work together with a group of people that you love. So don't do this alone. Now, this is Pat and Danny Lynn, and they practice in just outside of Austin, Texas. And straight out of school and one internship, Pat and Danny came down and they went into practice, and I'll think Cedar Park, Texas? Yeah, that's where it is, Cedar Park, Texas. Now, guess how long it took them without an associateship to just go right into practice and start making money, making more money than their expenses. How long did it take them to make more money than the practice cost them? First month they made more money than it cost them. Now they did something that's called a ramp, and I'll give you a little glimpse of that. For 60 months prior to opening, they did marketing because they knew that they'd have to learn how to market to get new patients. Literally the day that they opened, they had people coming, standing outside the proverbial line outside the door waiting the first day they opened the office. If you do that, you can be instantly successful as well. Now, I want to share with you what I call the 7 must-haves for an associateship. Okay? So what's the metaphor in the picture? 3 happy associates? Okay. Does anybody know where they're going to be associating? Are you a field doctor at home?
I'm associated with my dad, actually.
Are you really? By the way, that is the toughest. That is the toughest coaching situation that I get.
We've talked about it.
Yeah, you really? That's great. That's great.
It's got pros and cons.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Would you like to have a couple good tips right now?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I would tell your dad. What's your dad's first name? Brent. Say, Brent, let him ask you when he wants to learn. Let him ask you questions. Let him make some mistakes. You do what you do, as successful as you are, and you don't push it down his throat. because that'll just make it longer before he copies what you do. And that's really the truth. Some fathers and sons can do this really well. You know what's the toughest associateship I've ever coached? And that is the older brother with the younger screw-up brother. He wants to save him. I just want to save him. I said, leave him alone. Leave him alone. As soon as he figures out he can't do it, he'll come back and ask for questions. You know, there's nothing so boring. You know what the definition of preaching is? Answering a question that nobody asked. And there's nothing so boring as somebody who's giving you advice when you're not asking for the frickin' advice, right? So I tell my fathers, how many visits do you see a week? 200, 275, 300? Great. I bet your son would want to do that. It's one of the reasons why he's gone into chiropractic. He's experienced chiropractic. He's seen all the miracles. He's read the testimonies. He's heard the stories. He's been in the office. Now you do what you do and you encourage him in what he does. This is, by the way, this is what a mentor does. And I'd like you to write this down. A mentor shares his or her experience with you while encouraging you in your journey. They share their experience with you while encouraging you in your journey. That's what a mentor does. Some of you someday are going to be developing chiropractors. You're going to have super successful practices, and you're going to need help. And you're going to bring a chiropractor on. Please don't think about it as just a job. I need X amount of people. I want you to put them on the table and pound down the high spots. You know, I want you to do these x-rays. I want you to do all this garbage. But what I look to do is I look to develop successful chiropractors. Some of my best friends have been young men that have purchased clinics from me. So which should you choose? Get this wrong. By the way, you know why PI clinics offer $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 a month to start off with? Because it's a crappy job. I've never met anybody in the entire time that I have been in practice or coaching people who said, oh, I am sure glad I went to work for that personal injury clinic. I needed my soul ground to powder and my chiropractic philosophy just beat up. Also, I just would really beware of the chains as well. I think that you have to be very careful. I didn't hear anybody say, I want to go to work for corporate chiropractic. So be careful. I know that you're in a lot of debt. Number two, if you get this right, it can be literally a postgraduate program instead of paying for, that you get paid big money. $55,000, $65,000, $75,000, $85,000, $100,000. There's this one young woman who she's an associate in downtown Manhattan. She's no bigger in a minute, and she's quite shy for my assessment. And she makes about $120,000 a year, and she's busier than crazy in her associateship. And one of the reasons she chose a good associateship. Work for someone who loves chiropractic practice. So a guy called me one time from Eastern Ohio, and he said, I got to learn your associate stuff. I said, oh, okay, why is that? He said, I just hate this. I got to get some associates in here, and I got to get the hell out of this place. And I go, oh, that sounds like fun.
What do I say?
And I said, you don't have enough money. And he said, yeah, I do. I got my credit card here, and I know what you cost. And I said, no, you don't get it. You don't have enough money for me to work with you. And I said, I don't usually give people a piece of my mind, but the only thing you're going to teach your associates to do is hate the practice as much as you do. And I can't get behind your stuff, so I'm not going to take you as a client. Is there anything else? Pause. You're kidding. He said, no, I'm not kidding. I don't want to work with you. I don't like your dreams. I don't like your goals. I think you would hurt people. So what you want to do is you want to find somebody who really loves chiropractic and loves practice. And I'll tell you why. Because if they love practice, that means that they've got a good business. Because the business, you can love chiropractic, love your patients, love your technique. If the business is terrible. It'll drive you nuts and you'll hate practice. You'll love chiropractic, but you hate the practice. So find somebody who loves chiropractic and loves their practice, right? Treat an associateship like a career opportunity, not a job. Even a young man will come to work with me, or a young woman will come to work with me, and say, I want you to get to the practice of your level dreams as fast as possible. Now there's a win for me in that, of course, and there's a win for them in that. And we start the training, in my associate programs, we would start the training while the contract, the ink was still wet on the contract. Let's get going, right? Now you're a 5-star Sound Chiropractic Center associate. So treat it like an associateship, like a career opportunity. Request a pay structure that rewards you for doing well. My conversation with every new associate, and what I teach my clients to talk to their associates about, is how quickly can you get into bonus. Set up a reasonable base, but have the real money come from a bonus. And then for me, what's your first name?
Justin.
Chuck?
Justin.
You said. Wait a minute. Okay. What hearing aid? Okay. So if you worked with me, I would sit down and I would take you through this exercise here, and I would say, I want to teach you everything you possibly can learn from me over a period of 2 or however many years, so that you can have that dream. Now, the reason I do that for you is because if I do good work for you, somebody else might want to come and be my associate as well. Also, it's a mentoring process. Also, it's in line with your goals. Also, you and I are in a good business relationship. I'm going to benefit from that. But how much fun can it be if you're helping somebody reach their goals? And if you're on the phone to your parents, or you're speaking to a significant other and say, hey, this cool thing Dr. Lloyd taught me this weekend, I can apply that when I've got my own place and we're doing this, this, and this. If you want to, I tell my clients, if you want motivated associates, find out what their dreams are and then help them realize their dreams in a work relationship with you that produces bonus money for them. There was a guy who came to work for me and he had failed twice in practice. In fact, in his interview, and then he had subsequently 2 terrible associateships. He worked for guys who were real jerks. I knew them both. And I thought, oh man, that's terrible. So while talking with me, I liked him. He was a good guy. He said, if this doesn't work out with you, Dr. Lloyd, I might go into law enforcement. You don't know what a cop makes, do you? And people have asked me, well, why did you hire a guy who was that beat down? Well, I really needed an associate. I really needed somebody. But I also thought this guy was a good guy, and I thought he had good hands. I showed him how he can get into bonus pay, and I gave him a base salary, and he said, oh, I can live on that base. I said, never look at the base, look at the bonus. And you look at what we do together to hit bonus. And finally, his first bonus check, I think his first bonus checks were like $1,300 on top of his base. He said, this stuff really, really works. You weren't kidding. I said, well, stop. You didn't believe me? He said, with what I've been through, I didn't know what to believe. I knew I needed a paycheck, and you were a paycheck. Now, that guy also ended up making, before he purchased the clinic from me, over $103,000, and that was in his 3rd year as my associate. Now, did he earn that money? Every single penny of it. Did I push him out of his comfort zone? Yes. But in the process, he met Marina, and they got married. Now they've got 3 little kids, and he's got a brand new house, and he's got an absolute killer practice that I mentored him on how to work with. Okay? Now, view the clinic in action. Who was it? This young woman back here, you said travel around, and I thought you were going to say travel around and visit hot practices. So, how many of you are in clinic right now where you're doing some type of adjusting? What type of adjusting are you doing? Is it instrument stuff, or are you doing Gonstead or CBP? A mix. Okay, so I would ask my clinic instructor, who's got the busiest activator practice that we could go visit? Who's got the busiest CBP practice? Who's got the busiest instrument practice? Who's got the busiest upper cervical practice? And go visit it. I spoke at the IFEC, which is the Paris Chiropractic College, and 125 students, and I said, if you've seen the practice of your dreams, would you raise your hand? 2 people raised their hand. You've seen it? Okay, well let me
What a great question.
what a great question. Have you seen the practice of your dreams? If you have, raise your hand. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 people, right? So if I sent you out to the hallway to get the Kritas ran, so would you go out and get the Kritas ran for me? And she goes, the what? The Kritas ran, it's in the hallway. She's, what the heck am I looking for? How can you go out and build it if you've never seen it? Now I'll tell you a wonderful thing about busy, successful, wonderful chiropractors is they are proud of what they're doing. And they'll invite you in for a short shadow. They're not going to come and put you up in the guest room for a week, you know, let you use their Porsche, you know, and then just hang around the clinic. But you come and watch it, you listen to it, you feel it. It is a perfect spring break or summer break for you to put with 2 or 3 different people. You chip in for gas money, and you drive around between 5, 6 hot, crazy practices. So you've got some concepts about what you want. Multidisciplinary. Who's got the biggest multiple disciplinary clinic out there? Can I come and visit? They'll let you visit. And if they don't, they're probably jerks. Okay? Now, yeah, right. Find an associateship in a well-run business. One that's really, really low stress. I was in South Pacific, Palau, Koror, Palau, doing scuba diving, and I got a fax. My clinics saw 2,000 patient visits. It was a well-run business. Pick someone you want to be like. This ends up being a mentorship process. It ends up being a mentorship process. Discipleship, mentorship, apprenticeship. And insist on clinical management and marketing training. If you're not being trained, don't work there. There was somebody, I heard them brag about this, that they taught the associate how to shoot x-rays and how to do exams and how to adjust overflow. They never worked with them on the report of findings. They never worked with them on marketing. They never worked with them on, like a doctor, when a doctor is going to buy a clinic from me, we go over the P&Ls every month between the time that they decide to buy and when they actually purchase, so they can see where the money goes. When a doctor starts to work with me and is going to go into a clinic transition, I give them co-responsibility of managing the clinic. And if somebody says, don't worry, you don't have to market here, we'll get all the new patients, then you end up being a
Lab rat.
yeah, a lab rat, for lack of a better term. Okay, this young woman here is Miranda Bungie, and Miranda went to work for one of my clients, and she was in an absolute terrible associateship prior to that. In her 12th week of practice, on new patients that she produced, she saw 111 total visits with 22 new. She actually broke the clinic all-time ever week record with her clinic director out Friday with us in Las Vegas. Steve Jones was there and Ricky was in the room. And Steve showed me his text. He says, I'll be damned. Look at this. And she had, in her third month, she produced 40 new patients. This is Jason Race. Anybody know Jason in Temple? Jason's clinic director, Jeff Shells. In fact, I know that they're looking for an associate right now. He became a six-figure an associate, and now they're in negotiations for Jason to become a partner. And these guys have worked together for a long, long time. Jason makes great money, helps a ton of people. You know what he does? He helps a lot of people, he has a lot of fun, he makes a lot of money. I wrote this book called The Chiropractor's Guide. If you like what I shared with you today, this book is absolutely full of this stuff. 56 proven ways to help more people, have more fun, and make more money. Let's see, how would I give, I want to give away 4 or 5 books. How would I do that, Phyllis? Do you have any idea?
Well, you can ask questions like you've been doing the whole time.
Pick a number.
Pick a number.
How old am I?
68.
68, okay. Whoa, okay, good.
Liability, I'll hand them out.
Okay. I've got one of these catch box, and I always end up bashing the table or hitting the light and knocking somebody in the head.
Ruin my goods.
Okay. Here's, you know what? I want you to, I'm going to show you my slides here, or my points. 7 must-haves for a great associate. If you have a question on one of these points, if you want me to clarify, you'll get a book. Little bribery. I'm not above bribery. Yes?
Well, I just have a general question. You're talking about finding if you're trying to look for an associateship, find some place that you love, what the person's been doing there. But what if you say 2 offers on the table?
Right.
One guy you absolutely love, but the associateship that he's trying to offer you isn't a very good one. But the other guy or other doc is offering you a better associateship, like with pay and time and all that, but you don't like the way he practices for 100%. How do you disseminate on what you should do? Should you find a middle ground, or you say this guy's doing this for me, or?
Well, here's one of the things that I would do. I would tell the person who you really like, and say, show me how I can here, learn what I need to learn, and then get to bonus. I give a calculator to all of my associates in the interview process, and I say, let's get you $100,000 a year. Let's work backwards. Let me show you how we would do that. And then I actually lay it out for them. And then that's the goal. But as far as working for somebody, and I know that you didn't say this about the good offer, but if somebody isn't doing, if there's an ethical breach, never do that. Never do that. But that's a good question. You know what? Tell the guy what you want. I want to work for you, but I want to be able to make this much money, and I want to do that not just from a base, but I want to be able to do that from a bonus. Show me how it will work, and I will get out there. I will get the new patients, but you need to train me. And tell him what you want. If somebody told me that, I think it would be great. This guy has a question here. He gets a book.
I actually have a couple of questions.
Just one book.
Just one. That's fine. One, when looking for an associateship, should it be in the area that you plan to practice, like the state or the same market area? Or does it matter if it's different? You plan to practice here in Texas, should you go to Oklahoma with different laws and rules there?
The main thing you want to learn in an associateship is how to get new patients, how to stay in a patient-valued relationship, and how to be able to help as many people as you want. Technique allows and heart's desire. Now, if there's a dynamite training opportunity, and you can go work for somebody and be trained there, and truly trained, truly developed. And why would you work for somebody who doesn't have any training in how to develop associates? But anyway, and then you come back to Texas, and you practice in your hometown after you got all that skill. Now, if I have an associate who works for me, I have a covenant not to compete because I'm going to share completely and give them all kinds of great opportunities, and I'm going to help them build the practice. If they want to buy that practice, they can at a reasonable, very, very reasonable rate. But if you're practicing in an associateship in the town that you'd like to be in, you're probably going to be pushed out of that town by the covenant.
But like, what's a good radius for that contract of saying that?
Downtown, 5-6 miles.
I heard much more than 5 miles won't really hold up.
Yeah, it does. I'm not proud to say it because I thought this young man should have treated me and my company much, much differently. But we had to have a law. I had to sue him on a 25-mile covenant, and the law took my side. In my clinics now it's 17 and a half, but if you're in Manhattan, it's 3 miles. And the state is really going to dictate the radius. So there's what's called case law. That's the stuff that's been litigated and appealed, and the best attorneys can tell you how far that will hold up.
That's very good to hear, because actually in our class, in our education, we've been told that much more than 5 miles doesn't really matter because that won't hold up.
It depends. It depends on the state. It depends on the state. Yes, Justin. What happened to Chuck?
You had mentioned that many of your associates had terrible experiences with
Prior.
What
Right.
are the indicators that I should look for that can tell me? Because obviously they probably didn't realize, this is going to be a bad choice for me. They probably thought it was going to be something that was going to help them learn.
So you asked to take a look at the training materials. Ask them about the training. I want to be trained. I want to be trained to do a report of findings. I want to be trained to do a good care plan. I want to be trained to do great marketing. Could I see the training materials? You don't want to steal them. You just want to see them. Want to know that they exist. And can I speak to a former associate?
You have more questions.
You have more questions. I'm sorry. And then the young woman, then the blonde hair.
A real quick one is, how long do you recommend for a good associateship?
2 years minimum.
2 years minimum?
Yeah.
And another follow-up question to that one is, would you recommend going, because I know a couple of good people who have excellent business and everything else, and I would love to learn from them, but kind of what I'm looking to do is a little bit different as far as in target tribe, like my perfect patient. Because I can describe my perfect patient, but it's a little different than this person's perfect patient. Like somebody I'm thinking of, she more focuses on pediatrics, and I'm more focused on like more family or athletes. So would it still be good to associate under somebody?
You're probably going to want to match your particular target, but I also believe this, is that most chiropractors who are out in practice have changed their technique once or twice. And you might think that you're going to be a Gonstead person, you end up being an activator person, or you might go from CBP to NUCA, and you might change your target. You might change your target. But you want to be in a good environment where you're, I have what I call the respect conversation with my associates. I'll tell them, Mandy here at the front desk respects me. She respects me because I get here on time, I work really hard, I try to make her life as easy as I possibly can by directing the patients well, and I help her out, and I'm the boss. I respect Mandy because she gets here on time, she works really hard, she does everything for the clinic goals, she lets me know if I'm messing up a little bit. Now, guess how you will earn your respect here? You'll get here on time, you'll work really hard, you produce new patients, you get your scripts done. So that's how we all work together as a team. You want to work together in a team where there's lots of respect, where there's a great business. It doesn't have to be exactly what you want to do someday, but it needs to be close enough that you can do an extrapolation of what you're learning. So this nice young woman here.
Okay. My biggest question was number 3.
Okay.
Requesting pay structure.
Yes.
You guys always think the most uncomfortable conversation you have to have with the doctor you're associating with is pay.
Yes.
So how do you know what's reasonable, what's unreasonable, and how often do you revisit restructuring your pay?
Well, what I do is I set the pay up, and depending on where you are, I know of monthly associateships. The base pay would be someplace between $3,000 and $3,500, all the way up to $7,000 or $8,000 in Manhattan. And then the base pay has to do with against a percentage of collected money. And in my system, it's collected money that we collect on patients that you produce. And so the best thing to do is to have your clinic director sit you down with a calculator and say, how much, if you produce 100 patient visits a week, how much money would you take home? And you work backwards from the money. Yeah, it is, it's business, right? And by the way, most chiropractors are chiropractors first, and they kind of resent the fact that they have to run a business. They'd love it. They'd love it if the people just came in and the money just came in and they didn't have to manage staff, the business. Huh?
The old box practice.
Yeah, they'd love that. Is that helpful?
Yes.
Okay. Now, we've got 2 books. By the way, this book is going to be available in the bookstore. It's there right now, right? Yes, sir. And Jasmine's got a case of these, and we've got these books. But I owe one to the red-haired gentleman and one to the blonde lady.
Red-haired lady, yeah.
Okay. Yes.
So my question, she took the book.
Oh, sorry, I was focused on the book.
Double task, Phyllis, double task.
So my question will be with number 1, work with someone who knows, who loves chiropractic and the practice.
Right.
I have an individual like that.
Yes.
Now, in regards to the associateship, do they need training on how to associate an individual to bring them on board? Because I don't believe that they do have that.
Yeah, I really think they do. That's why I teach it. It's called Win-Win Associates. If you go to myfivestar.com, I've got a free 4 17-minute video course. Now, the course, of course, wait a minute. The course frames a future seminar I do on Win-Win Associates.
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
So I've been in practice 30 years. I had 4 associates before I waved the white flag. Because I didn't have any systems, I didn't have any training, I didn't have anything. All I know is I needed help. But I didn't know what to teach it and how to do it. I just kind of like shadow me, help me, do whatever. And they were interns. I was in the CBI program here. And they failed miserably, and mainly I feel bad that they failed because of me. Because I didn't have the training, I didn't have the tools, and I didn't have the wherewithal. I couldn't stop my practice and say, here, do this way. Okay? And so then I made some phone calls, and that's where I found Dr. Lloyd. And that's where I got my training on how to train associates. And that was the most effective for me. Plus, he's got courses where he trains you. So I'm his client, and then my associate goes to him and has a course and also goes to those conferences with me, if they're doing well.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
In my consulting years, you need, and agree or disagree with me, Dr. Lloyd, you as an associate, when you go out, you need to ask the chiropractor why they want to hire an associate. Because they have different opinions. Some may want an associate so you can go on vacation, or they think that you're going to build their practice. You need to ask, wouldn't you agree, Dr. Lloyd, of why they want to hire an associate? Because if that does not merit with what you want to achieve in that practice, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Yes?
Right. And so many people, chiropractic is so wonderful and so tremendous, is that you can be, if you have good people skills and you're a good adjuster, and you'll teach chiropractic all those 7 things that let's see. Strong chiropractic philosophy, great adjusters, learn chiropractic marketing. Boom, you're going to be so busy, you're going to need help. And if you bring somebody and you just throw a book at them and say, it's there. So I coach one of these wonderful chiropractors. He said, "No, my associate," and he's just grousing like crazy. And I said, "So, Scotty, did you tell him? Did you tell him that he was making mistakes?" "Well, he should know." And I said, "Well, how's that working for you, Scotty?" So I have a rule, is that you cannot expect anything that isn't written down and discussed. You know what that does? It takes away every single misunderstanding. So if you were my associate after the contract is signed, I sit down with an office citizenship document that's about 4, 5, 6 pages long. This is how we treat the practice, the patients. This is how we treat each other. That just takes care of things hugely. And then I give you initial scripts to start to use. You know there's a right way and a wrong way to say everything in a chiropractic office, right? What the hell do you want? That's the wrong way to answer the phone. Sound Chiropractic Center, Mandy speaking, I can help you. That's one of the right ways, right? So you need scripts and you need marketing materials. And I start your training right away, and I take you and I disciple you in that process, because I want to see a successful chiropractor. And by the way, when you start to win 2-3 days, 2-3 weeks into your associateship, when you're learning like crazy, when you're almost overwhelmed, but everything that you're learning is starting to pay off, are you excited? You bet. Mom, Dad, I'm learning a ton of great stuff. That's where the motivation comes from. When you can see your trajectory and you know you're taking off, then you don't have to worry about motivating your associate. How come my associate's so unmotivated? Because your associate does not see himself or herself winning in your associateship. There's a young man, his name is Roy. He's got 4 boys, 4 really handsome young men. And I said, "Roy, I want you to put together an associateship that you would want your son to go to." He said, "Oh, that makes perfect sense." Now let me ask you, would you want your son to be spoiled rotten and have somebody else give him all his new patients? No. I'd want him to be developed and held accountable, but treated with respect. Put together an associateship like that. He said, "I got it. I got it." Here's what I wish for you. I had a short associateship. I got fired. I was going to go out on my own because I wasn't learning anything. And all of a sudden I'm in this little 800 square foot office, and I had an opportunity to learn everything that I didn't know. But there was a guy who said, let me take you in my airplane. He had an airplane. And let me fly you up, and we'll go up to the San Juan Islands and we'll have dinner. And so we fly. And at dinner he says, "I want you to come to Parker seminars. I want to pay your way to the first Parker seminar you go to." I went to the Gold Rush at the Bonaventure Hotel 1,000,000 years ago. I remember seeing Clarence Gonstead there. Of course, Jimmy was there. And, they used to have these big banquets, 600, 800,000 people. And people wore tuxedos. I had white jeans and a tuxedo t-shirt. And I showed up at that. And I remember that night, everybody was going to the dance. I said, "No, I've got to go home and rewrite my notes." I was such a nerd. I went back and rewrote my notes and was there the next morning, at 8 or 9 o'clock on Sunday morning. No one showed up. And I heard that they danced till 4 in the morning. And I thought, well, I got good notes. But I hope you have I want you to fall in love with the process. Fall in love for the right reasons. And for the right reasons. And go to give. And you never feel like a beggar. If you go to give, you never feel like a beggar. And when I go screening, and I still love to screen, I enjoy it. I don't like to screen alone. I like to screen with people and have a lot of fun. Then you can go to give away the best gift that I've ever personally received, other than my gift from God. And chiropractic's another gift from God, as far as I'm concerned. And I take a look at your faces, and I think there's just tremendous future out ahead of you. I think that I kind of burned up all my time, didn't I? Anybody have any other questions? You guys have been really, really nice to me. Tonight, I'm going to speak where, Ricky?
South Building 214.
Yeah, and I'm going to do win-win associate. In fact, I've got one more slide on this. Launch your associate into instant success and profit. By the way, that associate looks like he's going to have a very, very exciting ride, right? You won't be bored. You won't be bored. So I'm going to talk to field doctors. And in fact, I've never done this before, where I'm going to have students in the group, and I'm talking to field doctors about how the field doctors need to develop the students. And I'm not ashamed or embarrassed, or there's no stuff where we trick associates. We just don't do that. We find good people, and there are bad people out there, but we find good people and we develop them. Okay, did you guys have fun?
Yeah.
Great, great. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you later.
If you want to tell them my office is one of those offices.
Okay.
Chuck, what do you think you enjoy better, running the management business that you now do, or practicing?
Well, I used to love the practice better, but then I couldn't do it.
Because you got injured.
I got injured. And you know what I like? Hey, you're welcome, thank you. I like being super busy and then having tons of time off. Super busy, tons of time off. Super busy. Yeah. But you've got to do, there are chiropractors, this is a true story. A guy came up to me and said, I haven't had a full week off in 20 years.
Oh, wow. Golly.
3 and 4 day weekends, vacation. But, hey, you're welcome. Thank you. So anyway.
That's wild.
Yeah. But I love patient care and it's fun.
Question about, I guess, how I would go about finding an associateship that would help develop me, but also knowing that where I end up wanting to go is I want to go into the Veterans Affairs Hospital, but the way that we have military care and
I see.
is that it's doctor referral.
Yeah.
As of right now, which part of me wanting to be in Veterans Affairs is to continue chiropractic.
Are you a veteran?
I'm currently still in, so
I see.
but I want to work on the revision of TRICARE to actually...
Is anybody that you know in that type of practice now?
I don't, that's the thing. I wouldn't even know where to start.
You know what? Google. Mr. Google knows. I mean, and it's probably going to be around, some larger, Killeen, Texas. What's the base by Killeen?
Fort Hood.
Fort Hood. I would chiropractic and military, and I would go there first, or any big Air Force base or big Army base, and then call 2 or 3 of the chiropractors and say, do you know who does military care and who's hooked up with the military? Oh yeah, that's Johnson, and he's over there. But you have to be your own advocate and kind of find out your solutions. And then I had people visit. Some people visit 50 offices, including me, and say, I want to do what you want to do. So if you would visit 5, you'll find somebody you like and somebody who would be impressed that you sought them out.
They also do a lot of VA. Like there's even an internship here that we do at Tri-10 VA Hospital, which is a bunch of...
Crush. Yes.
What time is your meeting today, Seth?
Also run into...
Do you remember?
Ricky, what time are we tonight?
6 o'clock. Food starts at 6.
6:30. 6:30? Can I come back?
Sure.
I gotta go back to work,
Thank you.
come back down to admissions.
I will.
do that because they won't allow them and we're under a clause of doctor
Do you have
referral.
doctors who are actually...
So you have to have an MD referral just to go to chiropractic on VA
Sure.
or even on post.
You get in touch with me. You're a smart kid. You know how. Okay. Okay.
Kind of there or like even working.
Dr. Morgan also works with a lot of veterans, so...
Sonia.
So I have one quick question.
Sure.
You said the limbs, they marketed 16 months before?
2 months. 60 days.
60 days?
60 days.
60 days.
Before they open. It's a 60-day ramp.
Okay, because I was like, okay, so that just changed up my question a bit, because I was wondering when would be a good time since I'm a student to start marketing.
You've got to have a lease before you start marketing.
You have to have a lease, okay.
Because then it's going to be 2 months before it's all built out.
Now what about when it comes to getting patients just in the clinic? Since I'm in Tri-6, I'll start next January to get patients in the clinic.
In the public clinic?
Yeah.
Do they have marketing systems set up here? Participate in everything that they have here first.
Yeah, they do screenings and help state fair.
Do what they teach you here first, and then there's tons of people that can teach you stuff. You just have to have the balls to do it.
Right. Okay. Because I was just wondering where to start. That was all.
That's a good place. Okay.
Awesome.
Okay.
More Mexican food.
Can I get a picture of you guys?
Hey, you're welcome.
For the Facebook?
Sure.
Sorry to...
Sure, it's all right.
Got to do our marketing.
Okay. Don't let my biceps hurt you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Cool.
Thank you for this.
Did you get your questions answered?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
I'm filled with questions. He'll tell you because he's in the try with me. I'm just full of questions.
It's all right. It's okay.
One, so you offer a program for your internships. Is this like a mentoring program, or what is this essentially?
So I teach my clients, and I have 156 clients. I teach them how to develop chiropractors, and I have a program for how to do an internship and how to do an associateship. So here's the process of.
So people pay to come to your programs to learn this.
Ricky's a client of mine.
Okay.
And I'm teaching him how to. I've taught lots of people. They've never known how to do an associate interview, or how to do testing, or to look to make sure that the goals are the same. Because if you want to do pediatric penguin practice in Patagonia and never see more than 50 visits a week, because baby penguins are so cute and you love to spend time with them, I don't know how to do any of that. And so you're not a good match for me. But if you want to see 200 plus patient visits a week in a practice that's like what I do, hey, great, maybe you and I should work together.
So if I understand you correctly, then your program takes a currently practicing doctor, teaches them how to have and find a good associate.
How to have and find and develop good associates. And then I do another thing too that's called the Associate Empowerment Project, where I took my entire associate training program, condensed it into 8 weeks, and it's live webinars. We do 8 people at a time.
For the associate?
I do that.
I pay for the associate to listen.
To learn from that. Okay, good.
Boot camp.
That's something I'd be interested in.
Yeah, it's really intense. It's vigorous, and I'm a hard ass.
He lays me out as the
I've always looked as an associate basically as a residency because I'm doing my internship for 1 year, and then I need to go do a residency for about 2 to 3 years.
Right.
And just get some documentation.
Or how about this? You want to be on your own? That's great. I teach my clinic director to show you how to do everything you need to do, and you during that time you'll make him money, you'll make you money. You have lots of skills, and then when you go away, what's your first name?
Mike.
So another person wants to work with Ricky, and you say, why don't you call Mike? Oh, I learned a ton. It was great. And then it becomes like a patient testimony. Instead of having 85% of associateships end up on a sour note.
Definitely. All right. Thank
you. Mike, my pleasure.
I'll let them go first.
Let her go first.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I just want you to sign it.
Oh, you know what? What's your name?
Tamara, but can you put Garen too?
Tamara.
Because it's his book.
And Darren?
Garen, Garrin.
Garrin.
And then Tamara is Tamara.
All my best. No.
Oh,
Great.
thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Now, you.
I was just hoping for a business card. Oh, thank you.
Business card? You know what? I have a business card in there.
Okay. I was gonna get you signed, but I'll also take a business card as well.
Okay. Okay.
You can feel free to make it out to Chuck.
To Chuck, dear Chuck. Hey, Justin.
Do they know, like, not yet.
It's a work.
Left-handed.
You bet.
Only left-handed people in the right mind.
That's right. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Did you have a question?
I did have a question.
Sure.
So, a little background. I was actually an integrated medical doctor who saved my life.
Oh, wow.
So, they've expressed interest in me coming, which makes it hard coming from chiropractic school. Any changes to your...
Integrated medicine, you know, like whose work? Freddie Ullin?
No.
Integrated medicine.
You might know him, Dr. Jerry Tennant.
I may have heard the name.
Okay. It's very similar. Anyway, it's hard because my passion is cancer patients, autoimmune diseases, which
Oh, yeah.
I can't exactly...
So here's the deal.
I can, but...
Can you get trained in how to do that work?
Yeah.
Then just make sure that the business works. Yeah. Everybody needs to work backwards from the money. And Justin said 200K. He wants to make 200,000. Great, work backwards from 200,000. What would I have to do in order to work in that associateship and make $200,000? With me, somebody would have to be doing about 225 patient visits a week.
Okay.
And that would get them the 16,66666 a month that they want. But you work backwards from the money.
Right.
And then ask your clinic director, what would I need to do in order to get there?
Okay.
And now, if they don't think that that's a wonderful question, because I've got a motivated guy who's got a passion for the work,
right.
But you have to do the marketing. You have to be able to get up in front of a group and tell them with all the passion that your story brings to you. This is what this stuff can do, and then give them a way to respond to you.
Right. Okay. I've at least expressed interest, but that helps now to make.
But you've got to
money.
you got to work, and then in the contract it needs to spell it out real clearly.
Right.
So this is like premarital counseling.
Right.
It really is. Yeah.
Good point.
Then you find out, oh, you want to live here. Oh, you want to have 6 kids. Oh my gosh, what the heck are we doing together? And so, yeah.
Hey, I do want to have 6 kids.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. And your first name again?
Chase.
Chase.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Hey guys, you want a card?
Yes, sir. I want a card. I want a card.
Thank you, sir.
Hope.
Thank you, sir.
Hope.
Thanks, sir. Thank you. Also,
Thank you very
sign
much.
my
Okay.
book, too?
What's that?
Could you sign my book also?
Yes, I can.
Perfect.
You were the first question.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Blake.
Blake. Okay.
So you do it. Did your shirt bleed right here? I don't know. It's like the ink came a little bit. Yeah. Only in that spot too. Thank you very much.
There you go. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go practice?
I don't know. I'm from Wisconsin originally, so I might go back up there. But I mean, if sports takes me anywhere else, I'm open to do it.
There you go.
Anywhere, so.
Okay, great.
We'll see where it takes me.
Okay, nice to meet you.
You too.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Wonderful. It's always good to